Most people think negotiation is a battle where one person has to lose for the other to win. But that's old-school aggression, not influence. True power in any conversation comes from understanding the hidden psychological needs of the person across from you. Today, we are decoding the ethical win-win. I'll show you how to get exactly what you want without ever feeling like a pushy salesman or a manipulator. It's time to stop fighting and start aligning. The conflict illusion. Why viewing negotiation as a battle is your first mistake. Many negotiators slip into a battle mindset, equating leverage with victory and partners with rivals. That framing narrows what counts as a win and makes the first move feel like a clash. Defensiveness rises, options shrink, and trust erodes faster than any contract clause. In practice, the strongest deals often come from building a bridge, not firing a cannon. Think of negotiation as a shared corridor where both sides walk toward a common exit. Empathy is a data collection tool, not a sign of weakness. When you listen for the hidden need behind a position, you see what truly matters to the other side. The emotional mirror lets you reflect feelings back, without surrendering your own goals, to show you understand. For example, a supplier who says the price is fixed may actually fear margin pressure, and a buyer who balks at the schedule may worry about quality control. Ask clarifying questions to surface that hidden need. If the vendor sounds rushed, you can say, "I hear the deadline is tight. What would make this more doable for you?" To escape the conflict illusion, reframe the goal as a joint problem to solve rather than a battle to win. Instead of chasing a pure price cut, seek options that meet core interests for both sides. The bridge appears when you propose arrangements that protect relationship and value, like adjusting timing in exchange for a minor concession elsewhere. Start by naming interests, cost, timing, risk, and reputation. Then map the hidden need behind each position and brainstorm several paths a deal might take. Use a silent agreement to test a path with a low commitment, such as a pilot period or a conditional step, before locking in terms. If the option unfolds well, you move toward formalization. If not, you pivot. Empathy as data collection continues after the deal. People stay in negotiations longer when they feel heard and when the process remains fair. Keep the partnership alive by documenting the agreed path and setting follow-up checks. The silent agreement becomes a habit, a mutual commitment to reevaluate after a small test, with a clear metric and a time frame. This approach lowers drama, reduces risk, and preserves the relationship for future work. It is not about surrender. It is about control through cooperation. The end goal is ethical win-win influence, where both sides leave with more than they started, and trust becomes the real currency. Tactical empathy, using your brain's mirror neurons to understand the why behind the no. Mirror neurons in humans light up when we observe someone performing an action or expressing an emotion, creating a quick, almost wireless sense of the other person's experience. That automatic echo is not a show of weakness. It's a data stream your brain is gathering so you can respond more precisely. In negotiation, tactical empathy is using that stream on purpose. It turns feelings into navigable information. The bridge is built when you map what you see onto what the other side wants, fears, and values. The more you read this, the more you can steer toward a fair outcome without pressuring anyone past what they can handle. Notice the no as a not rather than a wall. The hidden need hides behind the word no, and your job is to locate it without poking at it with force. Face the emotion behind the resistance and label it honestly. A calm, clear acknowledgement acts as a compass and keeps the conversation from spiraling. The emotional mirror shows up in tone, posture, and timing. If a partner's voice tightens or a client steps back, that's not just resistance. It's information about risk, timeline, or value. You collect that data with curiosity, not judgment. One practical way to use this is to pause, observe, and reflect before replying. You might say, "I hear hesitation in your voice about the price," or "Your body language suggests risk you're worried we'll miss." This isn't manipulation. It's data collection aimed at finding a path that respects both sides. Then ask calibrated questions that invite discovery rather than debate. Questions like, "What would need to change for this to work for you?" Or "What's the biggest worry if we proceed on this timeline?" These questions open the door to the hidden need behind the no. The silent agreement often forms here, a quiet understanding that you both seek reliability, not victory. A concrete example helps. A procurement leader says the bid is above budget. You respond with empathy first rather than defense. The price is a concern. Pause. Is the concern about upfront cost or the risk of ongoing maintenance? The answer reveals the hidden need. They want a predictable return on investment and minimal disruption. You propose options: a phased rollout, a shorter contract with measurable milestones, or a bundled service that lowers total cost of ownership. If they still refuse, you offer a contingency plan that protects both sides, a pilot with a clear exit path and a reduced scope. The emotional mirror shows you're listening by restating their concerns in fresh terms and inviting them to correct you if needed. Ethical win-win influence rests on keeping empathy as a tool, not a tactic to win at all costs. Treat the data you gather as a transparent map you share, not as a weapon hidden under the table. Frame the negotiation as a joint task to solve a shared problem. The silent agreement is the unspoken understanding that both sides are aiming for a stable, workable outcome. When you align on that, you can move from no to a concrete agreement that respects limits, timelines, and needs. In practice, build a simple playbook. Start with observation, read tone, pace, and pauses. Then move to labeling. Name the emotion you detected without judgment. Next, ask a calibrated question to uncover the hidden need. Offer options that directly address that need without overpromising. Finally, confirm the path you'll take together and articulate clear next steps. This isn't technique for control. It's a framework for clarity, trust, and integrity. The result is a decision that both sides feel good about, even if it wasn't the initial ask. The power of labeling. How describing an emotion instantly deactivates a person's defense system. Labeling emotions is a simple, powerful tool in negotiations. Affect labeling names what someone is feeling, like frustration or fear. When you name an emotion, the brain gets a signal to process it, which lowers the fight or flight reaction. In simple words, it helps people relax and think more clearly. It acts like a bridge between minds, turning tension into a path forward. Example: if the other side says, "This is taking too long," you respond, "You're feeling impatient." The room settles a bit, and the conversation can move from arguing to figuring things out. Using labeling as a routine, you uncover the hidden need. The hidden need is the real concern behind the surface emotion. Impatience might hide a deadline fear. Anger might hide a sense of unfairness or loss of control. The framework is simple. Listen with intent, name the emotion, pause, then ask a calibrated question. Example: you look frustrated with the timeline. You're worried about meeting your internal deadline. Then follow with, what would make this timeline work for you? The goal is not to agree with every feeling, but to translate emotion into information that guides the next move. In this way, empathy becomes a data collection tool, not a weakness. The bridge appears when the other side sees you acknowledge what they feel and still push toward a solution. The emotional mirror helps you reflect without judgment. Mirror back the feeling, but keep the language neutral. It sounds like you're anxious about the risk. This invites a reply that reveals the underlying practical concern, not a defense event. The pattern is simple: listen, label, reflect, then reframe toward interests. When a label lands accurately, the other person relaxes enough to share specifics: price levers, time blocks, risk tolerances. The silent agreement grows. Both sides silently agree to keep the emotional ground steady, so conversations can move from win-lose posturing to joint problem-solving. Practical note: avoid piling labels or second-guessing. If you're unsure, slower is safer. You can say, "Am I hearing you correctly that you're feeling tense?" Labeling is not a trick. It is a disciplined practice that demands accuracy and humility. Use it to surface concerns, not to trap someone in a box. The power comes from precision. A precise label opens the door to precise questions. A mislabel breeds resistance, so check in. That sounds like fear, is that right? When done well, labeling lowers defensiveness and opens space for a genuine exchange. In practice, you combine labeling with the broader toolkit: listen, summarize, offer options, and invite joint decision-making. The ethical center is clear. You label to reveal, not to box in. The goal remains a win-win outcome, built on trust and transparent inquiry. The reciprocity trigger: why small, honest concessions lead to massive results. The reciprocity trigger is a social norm that compels people to return a favor once one is given. When you offer a small, honest concession, trust grows and the other party begins to see you as a partner rather than an obstacle. Think of the bridge as the moment when stiff positions loosen and shared possibility becomes visible. This isn't manipulation, it's honest leverage that respects both sides. In practice, a tiny concession can lower risk, soften resistance, and invite a reciprocal move. Identify the hidden need behind the request before you speak. If the other side fears cost, delay, or credibility loss, a small concession tied to that fear can reset the balance. Make the concession concrete and label it as a favor. Then invite a reciprocal exchange and frame it as a shared win, not a loophole. That sets up the silent agreement, an almost invisible promise to keep moving forward together. In a software renewal talk, you might offer to extend support hours for a feature at no extra charge. The buyer sees goodwill and is more likely to commit to longer terms. In a supplier negotiation, covering a small training cost or waiving a one-time setup fee can unlock better pricing down the road. Your empathy helps you read signals and shape concessions so they fit real needs. Each concession should map to something you can live with if the other side does not reciprocate. Empathy is a data collection tool, not a weakness. Listen for fears, constraints, and hidden needs the other side won't state openly. Keep concessions proportional and genuine. A single concession that hurts your core value is not reciprocity. Avoid closing too early or promising more than you can deliver. The goal is a sustainable agreement. Use the emotional mirror to reflect how the concession changes their mood and posture, and watch for return signals. Calibrated questions, shifting the burden of the solution to the other side without them noticing. Calibrated questions are open-ended queries designed to invite problem-solving rather than elicit a simple yes or no. They shift the burden of finding the best path onto the other side, not by pressure, but by making the path to progress visible. Think of it as building the bridge between two sets of needs. This approach keeps the conversation collaborative and reduces the chance of walls going up. A few practical starters. What is the biggest obstacle on your side to moving forward today? How could we adjust the timeline to fit your team's capacity? What would have to be true for us to sign off on this today? These questions don't trap the other side. They invite them to map the route to a shared solution. Empathy is not a weakness here. It is a data collection tool that clarifies what matters. The framework rests on three moving parts you can ride in concert. 1. Use how and what questions to uncover the hidden need behind a position. If a vendor insists on a price, you might ask, what would have to change for this price to work for you? Or how can we structure the deal so you still meet your margin while I meet my cost target? 2. Label what you hear to align on reality without triggering defensiveness. A simple, it sounds like you're worried about risk if the schedule slips, can open space for problem solving rather than argument. 3. Invite a solution without dictating one. For example, what would serve both of us if we tried a different payment schedule? Or what would you need from me to move forward today? In this section, the emotional mirror plays a quiet but powerful role. Reflect feelings to reveal deeper constraints, then use those insights to shape options that honor both sides. This is where the silent agreement takes shape. You may not sign a contract in the first exchange, but you can agree on a path forward by identifying the next steps together. The idea is to convert a tense moment into a shared plan by asking questions that map feasibility. If a client says the price is off the table, you respond with a calibrated question like, what needs to happen for this investment to feel like a risk worth taking for you? The client will offer constraints, trade-offs, or scope adjustments, and you'll hear the levers you can pull without pushing. When someone sees that their concerns are heard and that options exist, a tacit agreement forms. The plan to test a solution, the commitment to revisit a detail, the intention to proceed if a condition is met. That is the essence of win-win influence, achieved through careful listening, precise questions, and a shared sense of progress. In practice, calibrated questions flow best when they come from a calm, steady rhythm. Start with a fact, then frame a how or what question that invites contribution. Use the bridge metaphor to keep the conversation moving forward, and bring in the hidden need to reveal what sits beneath each stance. The emotional mirror reminds you to acknowledge feelings without letting them derail the objective. The silent agreement anchors the momentum by naming concrete next steps, even if the deal isn't sealed yet. A quick example in a supplier negotiation. The buyer says the price is too high. You reply with a calibrated question, what would have to change in this arrangement for you to accept the current price? The supplier names a constraint, like delivery risk or packing costs. You respond with another question, how can we adjust the terms to reduce that risk while preserving value for both sides? A simple labels and questions sequence like this can transform a standoff into a cooperative path. Ethically applied, calibrated questions respect boundaries and purpose. They avoid manipulation by keeping the aim clearly collaborative, to surface constraints, align on feasible options, and reach a durable agreement. They leverage empathy as a data collection tool, not a signal of weakness or surrender. When used well, they reveal the hidden need that both sides can satisfy, illuminate the conditions for a stable deal, and create momentum that feels like a shared victory. The tool is pragmatic, not dramatic. It reframes problems as puzzles to solve together, with both sides contributing pieces to the final picture. In the end, calibrated questions turn negotiation from a battleground into a collaborative process, where influence comes from shaping the other side's options, not from overpowering them. That's the ethical edge of win-win influence, practiced with clarity, patience, and respect. The no invitation. Why giving people the safety to say no is the fastest way to a yes. Allowing a no up front clears the air and speeds up real alignment. When people feel safe to say no, they reveal the true blockers, not the polished wishes. That clarity becomes the fastest route to a genuine yes later. In this approach, the no is not a dead end. It's a doorway. The bridge appears when honesty is offered and welcomed. The bridge is built with phrasing that invites candor rather than pressure. The no invitation lowers the risk of buyer's remorse and seller's regret, and that is how trust starts to move. Start by creating safety for no. You can say something like, "I want you to be honest even if it means saying no." A clear invitation to decline makes room for real feedback. The moment the other side hears that, they stop guarding their answers. Then listen as if every word matters. The hidden need surfaces hidden priorities and constraints. You'll likely hear not just money, but risk, timing, and responsibility. The emotional mirror comes into play here. You name what you hear. It sounds like you're worried about this. You reflect feelings without judgment, and people lean in to share more. Empathy becomes a data collection tool, not a sign of weakness. The silent agreement quietly forms as both sides acknowledge the truth and keep talking. The framework is simple in structure but powerful in practice. 1. Invite the no with a concrete question. Where would this proposal fall short for you? What would have to change for this to be workable? The goal is to move from vague preferences to specific blockers. Then listen for the hidden need behind the no. Is the concern about money, timing, quality, or accountability? Label the emotion and summarize what you heard. That shows you're tracking the real problem, not just the surface. 2. Respond with options that address the blockers. If price is the issue, offer a scaled package, or a staged payment plan, or a pilot that minimizes risk. If timing is the issue, propose a phased rollout. If quality is the concern, suggest a guarantee or milestones. The key is to keep the conversation in motion, which you can do with the silent agreement. Even a no can become a pact to keep exploring together. You're not pressuring, you're testing whether a safer path exists. The outcome may be a refined offer, a different arrangement, or a mutual pause to regroup. In real talks, a single no often unlocks more strategic questions. A vendor might say no to a discount but affirm interest in a longer contract if certain conditions are met. A candidate might say no to a salary band but open to a performance-based path. In both cases, you've learned the true need, not a guess. The no invitation helps you reframe the problem. Instead of chasing a hard number, you chase a workable story that fits both sides. The emotional discipline matters here. Stay curious, stay calm, and avoid arguing with a no. Let the no be a compass, not a verdict. Ethics stay intact when you treat no as information, not as opposition. You honor autonomy, you protect the relationship, and you keep the door open. The result is a win that feels earned by both sides, not extracted from one. If you mirror what you hear, you reduce misreads and build momentum. If you honor the refusal and pivot with options, you maintain momentum without coercion. The silent agreement reappears when movement resumes after a pause. We'll test this path and see how it lands, together. The practical effect is a negotiation that moves faster toward real alignment. The no invitation short-circuits false consensus and wasted cycles. It protects both sides from falling into a sunk cost trap. It invites honesty, and honesty is how you map the terrain clearly. The emotional mirror, the hidden need, the bridge, and the silent agreement aren't tricks. They're tools for ethical influence. You're guiding a process where empathy gathers usable data, and every no gets you closer to a thoughtful yes. Mirroring the subconscious, building biological rapport through subtle verbal repetition. Subtle verbal repetition signals shared attention and can lower defensiveness. When you hear a point and lightly echo it back, the brain treats the exchange as cooperative rather than confrontational. This isn't parroting. It is a quick alignment of focus, tempo, and trust. It taps into biological wiring that favors familiarity and predictability. By mirroring the words and cadence of the other person, you create the bridge between minds, a path where ideas move with less friction. The effect shows up in the first minutes of a talk, and it tends to widen the space for shared problem solving. Begin with careful listening for the hidden need behind the surface request. Note the core verbs and nouns they rely on. Respond with a measured paraphrase that repeats the essence with small change. Example, they say they need faster delivery. You reply, a faster delivery is important to you, and you want that without sacrificing reliability. Use a calm cadence and a steady tempo so the repetition feels natural, not robotic. Keep the cadence and intonation aligned with theirs. This is how you lay a quiet track for collaboration. Often the same phrases recur in different words. The silent agreement forms as the echoed terms settle into the conversation. Use the emotional mirror to acknowledge a feeling through repetition of the core word. If they say cost is a concern, respond, cost is a concern for you, and you want value without waste. If they mention timeline, reply, timeline matters to you, and you need a plan that is realistic and executable. The goal is not to win a point but to align intent, so both sides feel seen. When done well, the dialogue moves with a softer rhythm, and concessions begin to feel like shared choices. Ethics and pitfalls surround this tool. Empathy is a data collection tool, not a weakness. Mirroring must reflect true concerns. It should surface needs, not manipulate. If you echo too much or imitate too closely, the moment can feel contrived. Always pair repetition with open questions that invite correction and deeper detail. The silent agreement should be earned, not forced. Practice sessions help you calibrate tone and tempo until the repetition feels like a natural extension of listening, so the negotiation stays focused on mutual gain and real outcomes. Finding the black swan, identifying the hidden piece of information that changes everything. A black swan is a hidden piece of information that can change the outcome of a negotiation. In high-stakes talks, spotting it shifts leverage, tightens or loosens positions, and often redefines what is on the table. Think of it as a bridge you cross only after you learn what the river is like beneath. The moment you see it, the whole map moves. Finding the black swan starts with listening, not just hearing. An ethical negotiator treats empathy as a data collection tool, not a weakness. Ask simple, precise questions that invite the other side to reveal the hidden need instead of defending the surface position. Be patient, pause, and watch for clues in timing, tone, and what goes unspoken. The quiet reveals more than the loud. A practical framework helps you stay disciplined. 1. Map your own assumptions so you don't confuse belief with fact. 2. Create a space where the other side feels safe to share small details that matter, like deadlines, constraints, or internal pressures. 3. Label what you hear with metaphors: the hidden need, the emotional mirror, the silent agreement. 4. Verify facts with gentle probes that don't threaten credibility. 5. Design options that align with the black swan rather than fight it. The goal is not to trap the other side but to illuminate the lever that changes everything. The emotional mirror is a key tool. Reflecting someone's emotion back to them can prompt a clearer reveal of underlying pressures. If a counterpart sounds rushed, you respond with calm and ask what urgency is driving the push. If they appear doubtful, acknowledge the doubt and invite specific evidence that would ease it. This kind of mirroring invites honesty without pressure. A simple phrase can unlock a useful truth. Help me understand what this urgency hides. The response may expose a schedule constraint, a risk they fear, or a personal stake they won't disclose outright. The silent agreement is another powerful concept. Sometimes the black swan hides in a term quietly accepted or a concession granted in a soft moment. Allow space for that moment to surface. Don't rush to fill every silence with certainty. When a detail lands in the room without a formal handshake, acknowledge it and ask how it changes each side's next move. You'll often discover alignment that wasn't visible before. This is how ethical influence becomes practical leverage, not manipulation. A concrete example helps. A supplier says they can meet a tough date only if terms shift in their favor. The surface claim centers on timing. The black swan might be a payroll deadline or a vendor requirement that makes the date possible without breaking their risk rules. By calmly labeling the moment as the hidden need behind the rush, you can explore options that protect cash flow for them and keep value intact for you. Maybe you offer a staged payment plan, or a small risk buffer, or a tighter delivery window paired with an earlier review. The outcome isn't about winning a single point, it's about aligning the true constraint with a creative, ethical solution. Another scenario shows the power of the silent agreement. A buyer insists on a low price, but a late acceptance clause is quietly critical for their internal rollout. The real lever isn't the discount, it's the acceptance timing. You acknowledge that timing is a constraint, not a threat, and you propose a certificate of performance tied to milestones instead of immediate price cuts. The black swan isn't the discount, it's the obligation that drives both sides toward a durable deal. You walk away with a purchase that respects their rhythm and with terms that preserve your margin. This approach keeps negotiation grounded in reality while remaining humane. You stay curious, you stay transparent, and you stay focused on outcomes that honor both sides. The black swan becomes a doorway, not a trap. You use empathy to gather data, not to please. You listen, you test, and you map the hidden needs onto viable options. The bridge appears when you connect what you hear to what you can offer without losing integrity. The hidden need reveals itself, the deal shifts, and both sides walk away with something real. That is ethical win-win influence in action. The best negotiators don't win arguments, they build bridges. Effective negotiation rests on the habit of turning conflicts into collaborative problem solving, not on the thrill of overpowering the other side. Bridge building matters. The bridge is the visible path where parties move from stalemate to shared gain, and it starts with clarity about what each side truly wants. Clarity matters. The hidden need is rarely the surface request. It sits underneath and drives choices, like a conductor pulling strings you barely hear. Find it by asking quiet questions. Empathy is a data collection tool, not a weakness, because noticing feelings and contexts helps map choices without demanding agreement. Let emotions guide, not derail. In a client renegotiation or a supplier contract, you acknowledge budget pressure and recast the deal to include phased delivery, preserving value for both sides and leaving room to revisit terms later. This is the bridge in action. By mirroring concerns, you show you hear the other side. The emotional mirror shapes the tone and reduces defensiveness, making it possible to swap conflicts for collaboration. Defensiveness drops. Start with a quick interests map, listing what you need and what they likely value, then validate that map by restating to confirm accuracy. Ask open questions. Offer creative options that honor the hidden needs and show trade-offs are possible. Then guide the conversation toward a mutual path rather than a winner-takes-all sprint. Propose a pilot or stage terms. The silent agreement seals the deal by summarizing decisions, next steps, timelines, and who does what, so both sides walk away with a clear, shared plan. No loyalty to outcome over people. Here's the ending in a single breath. The bridge is how we start every negotiation, on common ground, with purpose, so both sides can move forward. The hidden need is the real driver behind every line someone says. Find it by asking, listening, and watching for what isn't said. The emotional mirror keeps us connected, acknowledging feelings without getting pulled off course. The silent agreement is the finish line, a clear, written understanding that locks in what we are promising. Empathy isn't a weakness. It's a data collection tool that helps us map what matters, so we can craft options that fit both sides. When you combine curiosity with integrity, you turn risk into opportunity and turn talks into a real deal that respects the relationship as much as the result. Key points in one line. Start with trust, uncover the hidden need, reflect feelings to stay in sync, offer win-win options, seal with precise terms, and guard the relationship after the deal. If this resonated, drop a comment with your negotiation scenario and hit like or subscribe so we can walk through it together. In the next video, we'll run a live negotiation under pressure and show how to spot the hidden need in real time while keeping the bridge intact. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next chapter of Ethical Win-Win Influence.